Well, hello. Normally I try to have something incredibly clever, or at least something that I think is bordering on clever, to say at the beginning here, but it's been a long day, and it's now late at night. I got nothing clever to say. I got lots to say, but nothing clever to say for the beginning here. Suck it up. This is Edward, and welcome to More Geek Than Gay.
Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Look at that. Yeah, sorry. While you guys were listening to the opening music, which I do plan on getting revamped soon, I was noticing that I was first like going, oh, you can't really see the gray hairs or anything. But then, and my mustache. I gotta figure out a way to make that work. But then I was noticing right here, you can see like a stripe. I used to have two stripes. I don't know what happened to this one. You can't really see it as much. I mean, it's there a little bit. But this one's becoming a definite, look at that. There's an old man with a gray stripe in his beard stripe. They're shiny, so you can see them from a distance. There's also some in my little, what do they call this, soul patch or whatever. There's some in here too, of course. It actually lends a little bit of like silverness to make it look kind of almost jet or something, like there's a tone to it instead of just, hey, look, old guy. But how you doing? I am hoping that you've all had a very good weekend and week, because it's been a week and a weekend since I've last talked to you. And mine has been busy. It's been a busy yet reasonably eventful week. I actually even have things. I had to make a list. I had to take things off my list and wait until the next podcast to talk about them. So, I guess that's good. First of all, let's just catch you up on like crap that you guys have heard about me talking about before. So, work is going okay. Everything. My mustache needs trimming, but I don't know how to trim it to make it work right exactly. So I just have this weird sloppy biker thing. I don't know. Which, nothing wrong with bikers having biker things, but me having a sloppy biker thing just seems kind of inappropriate. I will no longer fixate on my facial hair for the rest of this podcast. How's that? That sound fair? Okay. I will go back to talking about work. I'm still a temp, so I still have temp paranoia. I even had a dream last night that they called to say that they canceled the contract because they didn't need me anymore. That said, I'm doing really well at the job now. Last week, just kind of did it. Today, we were swamped at work with filings and stuff like that. And I kept up with all of it. When it got to a point where I needed a little bit of assistance to make sure that everything got out so that people could do their jobs and everything, I quickly put someone on a little side task so I didn't have to take care of it. I put someone else on a different side task at another time, and I just kept up with it, because giving people little side tasks is also part of my job. When we get too many files and everything coming in, I'm supposed to be delegating other people to take over smaller tasks. bam, bam, bam. I was just cranking it out. So I don't know why I'm continuing to have temp paranoia, except for the fact that I'm still a temp, and they pretty much stated that this company keeps their temps for 6 to 12 months. So I'm only like 4 months in. Yeah, that means I have minimum 2 more months of temp paranoia ahead of me. Yay for that. But other than that, it's going well up there. They have like important business people coming in right now, so I'm actually, well, we get their leftover food, which that's always nice. It's like, ooh, cookies, ooh, cake, ooh, like fruit of miscellaneous sorts. I love that stuff. So that's how it is on the work front, and you know, it's not bad. It's just I wish I was no longer a temp. That's really what it is. It's not like I'd get paid more if I wasn't a temp. I'd have an option for benefits, which would be nice. But that's it. I just would be not a temp anymore. And they wouldn't be able just to get rid of me by like a 2-second phone call. That's just me being, well, temp paranoia. Yay! Anyone who's ever worked as a temp probably fully understands temp paranoia. So, what's next? Oh, there's one of those ums again. Sorry about that. That's right. Last time I talked about the diet that I am. Okay, at the beginning of the year, I was talking about wanting to lose weight. I've lost 10 pounds. Yay. But I lost that 10 pounds pretty much within the first, like, month and a half. And that was it. It just stopped. Stopped. So, I'm now making more of an effort. I'm going back to eating healthier. I was kind of getting lazy on the eating thing, which is weird because I enjoy like carrot sticks and stuff like that. So I don't know why I was not eating healthier. And I've actually even started trying to do physical activity. Possibly the gayest and geekiest way a person could exercise is what I'm doing. I'm tap dancing. Years ago, I took a little 5-week intro to tap dance course. It was free, but I bought tap shoes. I have a DVD with Bonnie Franklin from One Day at a Time teaching tap dance, because apparently she was an expert at tap dance, apparently a great teacher. And all last week I did it. I did it this week. Well, I didn't do it on the weekend, but I did it all last week. I did it this morning. I'm actually remembering things. I'm getting annoyed with the fact that my steps are not timing out quite right. But when I got to the section where I'm like going, Bonnie Franklin's crazy if she thinks that I can do this now, I actually tried a little section of it and it went well. The little bit I did. It's the Waltz something routine, and you have to learn the Waltz something step to do it. And that actually went well. Actually, I did better on that than I was doing on the previous ones. I could kind of hear the rhythm better, so I'm going to attempt a little further. And it's a little bit more exerting when you start getting into the routine, so yay. My legs are looking good, but I haven't lost a single pound. As a matter of fact, as of this morning, I was 2 pounds heavier, but I'm not 2 pounds here, 2 pounds there, as long as it doesn't continue to increase. If I'm 2 pounds off the start, even if I was 2 pounds down, I wouldn't be like going, ooh, I lost 2 pounds, because 2 pounds off the start doesn't mean anything. Matter of fact, I've been having less frequent bowel movements. Not really bad feeling, about it, not feeling all constipated or anything, but I'm thinking one good bowel movement and I'd probably lose like 2 pounds right there. So I don't know. That's how it is on that side. We'll see how it, I'm actually gonna start posting up a little video thing. I'll try to give you guys more of a heads up and announce if in case anyone wants to follow along with FatBoy trying to lose weight. And I'm all up for whatever advice people want to give me as long as they're being realistic about it and not trying to say, hey, cut all sugar out or cut all carbs out, or like, hey, do this exercise program. It's called Extreme Insane. Feel like you're going to die when you're finished. If you suggest things like that, you deserve a severe poke in the forehead with a fork. Okay? Gotta keep it realistic. Keep it with things that a person will do. And yes, people, I'm trying to figure out what I'm hearing over there. Oh, it's a cat. People do those other things. Those people are like crazy or desperate or something. I don't know. But I'm wanting things that I can do that won't make me feel like I am suffering every minute of the day. Okay. But and so far, good. It's only the first week. You don't know. So that's kind of how everything is going on that front. Joseph's birthday is coming up this month, as is the roommate, because I promised him I wasn't going to mention him by name, because he was like, going, don't mention me in the podcast. And I am like going, okay, I'll not mention you by name. So the roommate's birthday is also coming up. Joseph is doing a benefit show at a local bar to celebrate his birthday, which that's nice. I found out that I'm supposed to be singing there. I haven't sang for a long time because I realized that lack of practice and my physical structure and everything has made it to where I'm not singing the way I used to. I'm just not doing it quite right. So hearing that I have to sing means that now I have another thing I have to, and I love singing and I enjoy performing. It's just I wasn't thinking that was going to happen, so now I have to figure out how I'm going to do that and what I'm going to do for the show that'll keep everything going nicely too. I don't know. That was a fresh one, and it is kind of related to my diet and exercise, because that's part of the reason why I'm not sounding like I did. I don't think I'll ever get back my full countertenor range, but I would like to get at least some of my good range back. We've been working on the garden still. If it wasn't nighttime, I'd show you the garden because we pretty much have it all good. In the front, we still need to get more flowers and stuff and like make the front all pretty yard. But in the back, we got all sorts of stuff. And it is starting to grow. Our corn is over there, and the okra, and the Malabar spinach, and the eggplants, and there's not much more we need to really get. And what we need to get more of, I already have seeds going, and we will plant those when they're, big enough to be planted. So, yay, garden! The only problem is that I'm growing a couple things that I don't think that Archie and Joseph are going to be super excited about, and so have to figure out what we're going to do on that. And I am not doing a good job of not fixating on my facial hair. I am sorry. It's just there's a like I need to thin right here, and I need to. But okay, I'm stopping with touching my face and my facial hair. But I'm gonna make bug eyes. No. Guinea pig. Oh. Back to the garden, actually. There is a little corner over here that I'm pointing at an area that you guys don't know, either because you're listening to this on audio or because even with the video podcast, it's nighttime and I'm pointing off camera. But in the corner over there, Joseph is wanting to set up a bathtub Mary. And so we now need to go get a bathtub Mary. He's already started planting with that in mind. We need to get a bathtub Mary. We need to get some roses to go with the bathtub Mary because he wants some roses around it. And then we also need to be prepared because I planted sweet potatoes over there, some purple sweet potatoes, and the sweet potatoes apparently grow really well. Now the purple ones haven't sprouted yet, but once they do, we're going to have to keep it from strangling Mary, which might be something that would like contact the Vatican or something. So, okay, but we will tackle that when we get to it. I haven't given you guys news on the guinea pig lately. She's doing very well. Little Sally, if you all remember, a little while back, she jumped from my hands. She hurt her back. We thought she was maybe paralyzed, but she was able to do other things. So okay, and she was doing fine, eating, squeaking, doing her stuff. And she started using her back legs a little bit when we put her in the bathtub. So she now like can book around her little guinea pig cage, and she uses her little back legs to push herself even faster. So she's like fast. It's like, and she definitely is moving her back legs. She hasn't gotten to where she's really standing on them, but she is pushing herself faster with those back legs. So good news on the guinea pig front. The other one has realized that I'm not going to be giving her all these little sweets that she likes, so she's back to just eating regular food. So that's good too. Cat drama that I mentioned on the audio podcast last week. I'll give you more of an update in a little while. I kind of want to introduce you to the boy that had the drama, and I'll, like I said, give you more of an update at that time. So that, for the most part, catches you up on my personal life, which, yay for you guys caring about that. Oh, and I now have seen what a goiter looks like, and that's scary. Which, again, that's a reference to the previous audio podcast, and if you're watching the video podcast and you have no idea what I'm talking about, shame on you. Listen to the audio podcast in between. Matter of fact, there will be news coming up later regarding that very subject. Okay, but first, it's time for dun 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 bum 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 gay shows. I wondered how blurry that looks when I do that, and how hard it would be for me to actually come up with a real piece of music to stick in there instead of me doing that. So my gay shows are really petering out right now. I don't have a lot of them going on. Glee is definitely a gay show, and Glee is Glee. This last week they had an episode where the school had a power outage, so they decided to do their songs unplugged. And that was fine, except for, first of all, the school appeared to be having a power outage for days. And everyone still had to attend classes, and I'm like, well, I understand that this school is supposed to be a little odd, and the principal's supposed to be a little odd, but really, what's happening? Schools have a little period of time and little extra days that make it to where, like, if there's a snow day, they don't have to go to school, and they don't have to make it up at the end. There are these like 5 or 6 days or whatever that schools have built in that they can cancel school and no harm, no foul. If you can't get the electricity repaired in the school, I think you're allowed to cancel school until the electricity is fixed. That said, it left with, we were left before with Becky stating that, or kind of giving an impression that she was going to start telling Principal Figgins her version of what happened with the gun, and we didn't touch on that this week. Possibly the most important dramatic storyline they have going on, and we didn't touch on that. No. We instead focused on this cockamamie blackout and Rachel going for auditions. Now, they decided to do everything unplugged this week when it came to the high school. And that's all nice and fine, except for then there came this point when they brought in the band and the Glee teacher apologized that he made an exception to allow orchestration during their Unplugged week. And I'm like thinking, what part of Unplugged did you not understand? Did you not really watch MTV when they really defined the idea of the Unplugged concert? Because there were plenty of orchestrations. Unplugged does not mean, oh, there's just a guitar or just a piano. No. Unplugged means that there's just no amplifiers, so you can have a harp, you can have, Pop School Love backed up, I think it was LL Cool J when he did his Unplugged, and they did a whole big arrangement, beautiful arrangement for those songs. It was amazing. Okay? Ricky Martin did one after I didn't even know they were doing Unpluggeds anymore, and it was still an amazing arrangement with all sorts of instruments, violins and harps and La Vida Locas. I don't know. That's such a minor thing, but it also is such a... They based the episode on the idea of Unplugged, so you'd think they'd know what that meant, and that's why that minor thing became really annoying. Look at that. Good side, bad side, good side, bad side. I actually even look a little younger on this side, I think. Bad side. Okay. Project Runway, they had a reunion after already declaring the winner, so it's not like anything really developed. They just talked to everyone and let them bitch about things, and nothing really came out. Nothing really interesting happened there. It was just them bitching about how tough it was, and Daniel shaved, and everyone went, oh my god, you don't have the little hipster mustache anymore. And that Patricia was like the crazy woman that she didn't even know that everyone didn't want to work with her until like later when they finally figured out what she does. And Richard saying that I do know how to sew, except for he said it with a completely different accent or whatever, but I can't imitate Richard. And Michelle like going, I guess I was bitchy, but I'd tell it to your face, so I wasn't duplicitous about it. And everyone agreed and went on. And and the poor girl who got accused of being a bitch, everyone went, you know what? You weren't a bitch. You never said a bad thing about anyone. Sorry that you got lumped into that category. I just saved you from watching an hour of not as much bitchiness fun as what you'd think. Just finished watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, bitches. And Team Jinx. Woohoo! She won. Okay, if you didn't watch it, well, too bad. Okay, you wouldn't be tuning into the interwebs tomorrow anyway and not know, because everybody's like splattering that around. We couldn't even turn on the computers until the episode was over. Interesting or thing. Again, we don't know who second place was, who third place was. Roxy fessed up, gave a lot of pageant type answers, but especially when she was talking about how she did act badly, her pageant answers sounded sincere. And Alaska, again, kind of showed that she doesn't know I don't know. And that hideous bathing suit thing looked bad on her, looked tacky, and I think Roxy put on some weight. Now, I don't say that as a bad thing. I mean, look at me. You can't really see, but trust me, big boy going on here. It's just, we're accustomed to seeing Roxy a certain way in her outfits, and this time it's like, wow, Roxy's looking thicker than usual. And then there was this moment when you could kind of see it in her face, and it's like, oh yeah, Roxy's put on weight since the last episode that we saw her in. So she'll probably take it back off, stress will be over, and she'll be out doing her thing. And I do still love me some Roxy, but there was no chance of her winning. I wasn't even thinking, yeah, Roxy deserves to win because of her behavior during the last couple episodes, and because Jinx just fucking deserved it. Okay? That's all there is. Jinx was amazing. really during the whole run. So, yay, Team Jinx. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but that was me doing something. And that pretty much takes care of my gay shows right now. I don't have a lot going on. And actually, with Project Runway done and RuPaul's Drag Race done, and Smash is going to be done real soon, and Glees that are on their way to regionals. We are recording Felt. Now, Felt is a show that's coming on, and they're debuting it after RuPaul's Drag Race, which it has couples talking like to a couples therapist and about their problems, except for to keep the couples in anonymity, they're using puppets. And it's such a bad idea that looks brilliant in everything we see it in that we decided we had to give it a chance. I did find out that one of the puppets would have been, or at least we'd be in couples therapy if I was going out with that puppet, because part of the reason why they're in couples therapy is because his partner puppet put on 30 pounds after they got together, and I'm like, oh shit, I put on 30 pounds after, like, I don't know, after turning 40, so dang. But so maybe, although I don't know if that qualifies as a gay show, because they're just couples. It's gay, straight, I'm assuming lesbian. They haven't shown any lesbians, but then again, maybe lesbians just aren't funny even as couples. I mean, as puppets. Who knows? Oh, I do have a question though. Anybody who knows the answer to this, let me know. During RuPaul's Drag Race, they showed this commercial, and Logo's been showing these commercials all throughout for a while. It's a program to promote safe sex using the Avenue Q puppets. Now, there's this one that uses the Bad Idea Bears, and there's this little Latino couple about ready to get it on, and they're like all in bed. And they look really familiar, but I can't figure out who they are, and I can't see anywhere listed anywhere that says who they are. Anybody have any idea who those two guys are? Because they look really familiar, like seeing both of them in other TV shows, and I'm supposed to know who they are, but cannot pinpoint it at all. And if you know one or the other, okay, the one on the left, I'm considering like Bear Boy, because he's a little bit bigger, and the one on the right, we'll just call him Skinny Kid. Okay, so identify them that way, Bear Boy or Skinny Kid. If you know either one, let me know, because it's driving me nuts every time I see the commercials. Okay? And with that, we move on to geek stuff. I'm not thinking that's going to play any better than my previous geek stuff attempts at filler music. I really need to find geek stuff music. Oh well. Any ideas? Let me know. But same thing with the gay shows thing, because really, do you really want to hear me do that gay shows announcement like I've been doing? I doubt it. So, geek stuff. Went and saw Iron Man 3. Well, and we'll save that. Actually, we'll save that a little bit. Savor it. Okay? This weekend, Saturday, was Free Comic Book Day. Yay! Free Comic Book Day! If you didn't go find yourself your local comic book dealer and get some free comic books, shame on you. Okay, even if you're not into comic books, they had like all sorts of different things there, and they had all sorts of different types of free comic books. Okay, they had, I mean, even Strawberry Shortcake had a free comic book available. So go get some free comic books. And a lot of these places will have leftovers of certain free comic books. Go get some free comic books. While I was getting the free comic books, I'm really a comic book geek, but I have been not really regular on my comic books. Now, for a while, that's because I was like desperately destitute. But I've kind of gotten to where I'm just kind of in the desperately destitute area. So I can kind of get back into doing some comic books here and there. So I'm giving some a chance again. I have to admit, I'm really liking Marvel's Fantastic Four. I'm sticking with it, even though I still am like not super happy with Marvel and how they've treated everything, and their 101 mutants, and Spider-Man still not married. But then again, Peter Parker's kind of dead, and so I guess it doesn't matter that he's not married to Mary Jane anymore. The other title I have been reading somewhat regularly is Superior Spider-Man, where, spoiler, first of all, Dr. Octopus kind of switched brains with Spider-Man. Not in the, like, I remove the top of my head and just pull out my brain and stick it in Spider-Man's head and then put it back on. There was, like, some sort of mnemonic thing or whatever. I don't know. But then Spider-Man died in Doc Ock's body. So now Doc Ock is now being Spider-Man and actually trying to be a hero, even though he's kind of killed already or something. He's realized that a trace of Peter Parker is still living in his brain and at times able to kind of control him a little bit. And so in issue number 9, he erased what was left of Peter Parker. So we're led to believe. It's supposed to be the storyline that you wouldn't believe would happen. We're going someplace you cannot come back from. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. And I'll tell you the biggest reason why I claim that. The name of the comic book is Superior Spider-Man. There's no way that that's the lasting name of any sort of comic book. Okay, first of all, it begs the comparison. Superior to what? Well, to the old Spider-Man. If we get rid of the old Spider-Man, after a little while, superior means nothing. Superior to other heroes, superior to that. Superior is somewhat of a comparative term. Okay, super, superior, superiorist. And as such, without something to compare it to, it means nothing. So we now have a term that is starting to become a nothing term, and you can't keep that. So we know that Peter Parker is coming back. How they're going to bring him back is another story, but we know that Peter Parker is coming back. The interesting thing is that they are doing a cool storyline until then. And I don't believe anybody thinks that this is permanent. I don't think Marvel really even expects us to believe that this is permanent. But they're going to tell us an interesting story until then. And it's working. It's keeping me going. I really didn't think I would ever go back to Spider-Man at all. But Superior Spider-Man, very interestingly done. Not as good as Fantastic Four, but still very interestingly done. And Fantastic Four is just, like I said, fantastic. Can't really describe it other than that. It's not the storyline, it's the writing, it's the interplay. They just really have nailed it. And they put them back into more of a science fiction-y type role of exploration, which always works with Fantastic Four. Okay, they work better that way than they do as just, hey, we fight villains every week. With DC, it's Batgirl. Batgirl's doing really cool, but Gail Simone writes a good Batgirl. Birds of Prey, which hold on. And I'm back. What you heard in the background, I can't imagine that you didn't hear that, was two cats not getting along. The brave one, who apparently is inappropriately named in this situation, was being cornered by the orange one that I have stated before I don't mind when the mockingbirds are mean to him. Her. Actually, we're fairly certain the orange one is a her. And just a disagreeable thing that just won't go away and find a place that doesn't have other cats, because clearly the orange thing doesn't like other cats and wants to be the boss, and the others are not going for the orange one being a boss, and they're definitely not going for someone being around that doesn't like them. Oh, poor brave one. So, where was I? Oh, okay. Batgirl, good. Interesting storyline. Her brother actually is kind of a serial killer. We found that out eventually. And she had to stop him and possibly allowed him to die in order to do that. So now her father, Commissioner Gordon, is possibly going to try to arrest her and arrest Batgirl. And I think in this new continuity, he knows that Barbara Gordon, his daughter, is Batgirl. So the family dinners are going to be very awkward. Then there's Birds of Prey, which features various female characters. Black Canary, I think Poison Ivy's still in it. Batgirl, who, as Barbara Gordon, brought them all together. And it's been okay. I'm reading it more in hopes of them bringing it back up to its former glory. It's okay. It's nothing bad. It's enjoyable. It's just not anything to brag about either. Wonder Woman, still a fantastic storyline going on, being told by a guy who does a great job, but it's very mythology centric. She's hanging out with gods and really nothing but hanging out with gods. And this leads to the problem I have with DC's treatment of Wonder Woman. DC always has difficulty with Wonder Woman's sales. And even when they get a good writer on there, she'll sell okay for a while. But usually she's never going to sell, I mean, except for maybe like an issue or two, she's not going to sell like the hot ones. I think even when it's a hot issue, she barely breaks into the top 20 comic books. Where Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Justice League, they all break into the top 100. Or top 20. Periodically. The problem is that Wonder Woman is an incredibly complicated character, and different people like different aspects of her character. Now, even if you're preferring a certain aspect of her character, you usually pretty much like a Wonder Woman story, but you start getting drawn to certain types of stories, and other people are not going to be drawn to that character, to that story. Right now, heavy mythology. We're not seeing her beat up bad guys. We're not seeing her do anything political. We're not seeing her really interacting with man's world much. We're seeing her hang out with gods a lot. And I find that really limiting. I've always said that if you want to increase Wonder Woman sales, grow a pair and give her 2 monthly comic books. That way we can have one that focuses on a storyline that involves the gods and mythology, and we can have another one, we can have the other one have her build up like a a group of villains that are impressive. Okay, there's only been a couple writers that have, well, I can only think of Phil Jimenez, who's actually successfully, for any length of time, combined all of those things together. And even then, sometimes it felt a little rushed because he was actually trying to cover every aspect of this complicated character with only one issue a month. And sometimes with like a forced storyline coming in, like the Joker's Last Stand storyline coming in and making like, oh, okay, now that's a weird inclusion to this story. George Perez did a great job of relaunching her, but never gave her good villains, and she never seemed political, which is weird because she does have a political mission of trying to teach the world about peace, and she is a princess. She's royalty, so she should have a political agenda. Rucka, who I cannot remember his first name, he did a great job with the political end of it. But making, she opened up an embassy. She worked with, it was a great long-term storyline that ignored pretty much everything else except for the mythology. It really did catch the mythology, and he tried to give her like almost a Lex Luthor type villain, but Phil Jimenez is the only one who actually gave her any costume villains. He also addressed her mythology. He addressed her as a warrior. He addressed her as a messenger of peace. He addressed her as a daughter, all these different things. Unfortunately, like I said, too compressed. So that's the problem I'm having with Wonder Woman, is that while it's a really good storyline, I'm kind of getting tired and wanting to see more of her, and the only place I'm going to see more of her right now is either in Superman, where she's dating him, and ugh, or in Justice League, where she's dating Superman, ugh. And there, she comes across like the Marvel, the Max line of Marvel's interpretation of Wonder Woman, because they had a knockoff Wonder Woman who was just bloodthirsty and felt like, well, I know it's best, and I can tell the world to do that. What are they going to do? Stop me? No. And she's now dragging Superman kind of down that road because he's kind of like the Marvel version of Superman in that same series in Justice League. Outside of Justice League, no, not quite as much, although still kind of close. Grant Morrison clearly read the Marvel knockoff Justice League series and didn't base it. I don't think he based the character as much on the Simon Schuster original. Simon Schuster? Siegel and Schuster original idea as much as he did on the Straczynski KPP whatever guy who did Babylon 5, who has a wonderful history of ruining comic books. So I am trying to get back. I read the first issue of the Sesame Street comic book, and that was delightfully wonderful. And I'm noticing that a lot of companies are trying to bring back characters that they just retired their superhero line, and they're now trying to get back into it, and I'm kind of finding that fun. But it's a little bit of a slow process for me to get back into the comic books because I feel that comic books have changed tone radically in the last 5 years and kind of left me behind. I'll be honest. I don't feel up to date with the new tone of comic books, and I have to get used to it. And deciding whether I want to get used to it is another story too, because it's kind of like when you're on a diet. People say, "Oh, you get used to diet soda." Well, I can get used to eating a bucket of shit a day too, but it doesn't mean it's something that's desirable. And getting used to the new style of comic books that's going around, I don't know that's what I want to do. or if I'm just going to enjoy collecting all these old trades that are collecting all these trade paperbacks that are collecting the old Silver Age comics and stuff like that, which I'm really enjoying those. They just seem to have a better sense of pacing and character and stuff. I mean, and fun. That's the other thing. A better sense of fun. Not everything was about angst. I'm really tired of angst. God, I'm tired of angst. Also watched Doctor Who this weekend. Latest episode took place in Victorian England, so we again got the Lizard Woman and her wife. And I know people really loved it because people really loved the Lizard Woman and her wife, and the Centaurian that's with them. The story was boring. You know, if you're gonna focus on the Lizard Woman and her wife this much, just give them a spin-off show and stop having Doctor Who hang out with them as much. Let them be the new Torchwood or something in Victorian times. Doctor Who has managed to do something I didn't think they could do. They've completely bored me. I found myself paying... I can't even really critique the episode that much because I found myself paying just enough attention to know what was going on, but not enough to actually care about good, bad, indifferent. I will say this, Diana Rigg was fantastic, because Diana Rigg was in this episode, and I've loved her ever since she was like hot shit in the Avengers. And it's interesting seeing her now play an old hag, and I'm going, oh, you're one of the women that made me not realize I was gay. Ugh. But she was fantastic. I paid attention to like every time she was on the screen. But the rest of the episode, pointless filler episode. It didn't advance this weird storyline thing that they have going on. It didn't do anything. In like 2 weeks, I'm going to forget that I watched it. As it is, I'm already forgetting episodes that have happened since they came back to do the second half of the seventh season. I'm already finding myself not able to remember really episodes that happened. And we're almost to the end. Okay, there's only, I think, 2 more episodes, something like that. So, this is sad. I cannot recall a more unmemorable phase of Doctor Who than what we're watching right now. And I seriously think it's time for Moffat to turn over the controls to someone else. At least partially. Because, like I said, these episodes, I can't even critique them because I don't even care enough. I can't remember them well enough to critique them well anymore. So that's the whole Doctor Who thing, which is sad. It's truly sad. Did see Iron Man, as I said before when I said I'll come back to it, and I'm coming back to it because this is the time to come back to it. Iron Man 3 was very good. Very long. Over 2 hours. Saw it in 3D. The 3D was good. The previews in 3D were good. Better than anything I saw when I went and saw Jurassic Park in 3D. Every single one of the previews was better than the Jurassic Park movie in 3D. And I know that maybe we saw it at a bad theater. But still, every single one of the promos was better. Superman, Man of Steel looks really, really good. Even if I still don't have a good, strong idea what the plot is. Then also Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie way back, so even though I'm not a fan of the new direction of Star Trek, I will go see the new Star Trek movie, and it has me curious. Ooh, the new Thor movie. The preview actually made me curious for that, and I find Thor to be one of the most hideously boring characters this side of Wolverine. So, that is remarkable in itself, that it looks like they made a Thor movie that I might care about and might actually, because the first Thor movie, it was like, yeah, this is kind of Thor. It's a splendor to look at, but I'm bored now. This one looks much more interesting, much more interesting. But that's not really what anyone's expecting me to talk about. It's time to talk about Iron Man. Like I said, better movie. Very better movie than the second movie, of course, because that wouldn't take much. I mean, the second movie wasn't Spider-Man 3, but the second movie also wasn't, Spider-Man, or it wasn't Superman 3 or Superman 2. Okay, so okay, I just completely messed all that up, but you know what I mean. Iron Man 3 basically ignores Iron Man 2. There's little bits here and there. Pepper Potts is now in charge of Stark Enterprises or Industries. Okay, but that's almost the only thing that it pays attention to. You kind of can't see Iron Man 3 unless you've seen the Avengers, though. It makes a lot of references to the Avengers. He supposedly has developed a bit of, I guess, kind of an insecurity or something issue, because he feels after the Avengers mission where he's aliens and gods and the Hulk and stuff, he feels kind of inferior as just some guy in a suit. Which I'm like, oh, well, what do you think Captain America is? I don't know. But that I don't think they handled as well as they could have. They made a big deal out of it, and it was okay how they handled it. But it reminded me a little bit, and they could have gone down this road so well. It reminded me a little bit of a short story I read in Harlan Ellison's Dangerous Visions. And I don't know the name of the short story, but basically it's about a guy who designs the world's safest car. And it's basically impossible to get hurt in it. And while driving in it, he inadvertently proves that by getting in a car accident with a huge truck that, and basically easy to tell that in any other vehicle he would have easily been killed, but he gets out of this one safe. And after that, he's afraid to leave the car because he realizes that that's the one safe place there is. Anywhere else, you could be in danger. Just slip and fall in your bathtub or whatever. So he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't want to leave the car anymore. He doesn't feel safe. I would have figured that they would kind of go down that road with Tony Stark and Iron Man, that he no longer feels adequate or safe without being in the suit. Kind of thought, like I said, where that was where they were going to go with that. Once they established that he was having paranoia or insecurity problems regarding the Avengers movie, but they didn't. They didn't. They also used the Mandarin character from comic books. Now I understand that the Mandarin character is, in some people's eyes, a very racist character. And so they decided to try to bring him in without doing that. And they brought in Ben Kingsley, who played the part very well. But the Mandarin character confused me. I'm going to try to do this without any spoilers. Okay. So, which means I can't get to the final part of this, but essentially he's an Afghani terrorist, or this is what he's being presented as, an Afghani terrorist with a North Texan accent and a title of a Chinese warlord. And at no point do they explain anything that makes this mesh make sense. that kind of I just kept on waiting for some sort of explanation, especially the North Texan accent. I'm like, why would he have that accent? He's clearly supposed to be kind of a Bin Laden character in this movie. Bin Laden didn't have a North Texan accent. Why does this guy have a North Texas accent? What the why? And why would he be called the Mandarin? Why would he not have like a different name? Something I have no idea, because I can't think of any Arabic terms or Middle Eastern terms or Afghani terms for like historical warlord type person, but it seems like any of those would be more appropriate than the Mandarin. I don't know. The movie did, in the closing, you want to stick around through all the credits. Ugh, long credits. There is a cute scene at the end, which you've probably already heard what the cute scene is, so I could probably say it and not spoil anything, but I'm going to still not spoil it. I'm going to try to be a good boy here and not spoil it, so I'm not going to tell you what the cute scene is, but it was a cute scene if you stick it out. But during the closing credits, I did get to see two of my favorite credits. There's a scene where people are being rescued after falling out of an airplane, and they Iron Man saves them by having them all kind of grab onto each other, because he can't grab everybody. So he has them all grab onto each other. And in the credits, they give the Barrel of Monkeys skydiving team a credit, and then it lists all the people. I'm going, oh, the Barrel of Monkeys skydiving team. All right. And then my favorite part of the credits, originally I thought that was my favorite, but I realize now that this is my favorite part of the credits. You go down, and you know how like a lot of times there's like the style, you get the wardrobe for Mr. Downey Jr. provided by, or whatever. You get to this point where it is hairstylist for Mr. Downey Jr. Blah 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 blah. Then hairstylist for Gwyneth Paltrow. Blah 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 blah. And then it was and I cannot remember his name to save my life, but groomer for the guy who plays Rhodes in the movie. And I thought, huh, so they get hairstylists and he gets a groomer. This seems, it makes sense, but it still seems slightly racist in the credits. I'm kind of loving this, because I can't decide whether or not this is racist or not, and that's kind of funny. And I really wish I could remember his name. Cannot remember his name to save my life. But that's kind of my geek weekend. I had intended to try to talk about writing a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about role-playing games too, but I'm going to edit myself on that right now and save that for future podcasts. And hopefully those will be interesting. And I'll also have other things to fill in. No. But if I don't, I can use those as filler later. Ha. Well, that's giving away a secret that you can come up with subjects ahead of time and then use them as filler if you can't think of a good number of subjects later. Huh. It's not like the news ever does that or anything. Oh well. So, kind of starting to, because it's after midnight over here already. I do want to give, like, again, acknowledgement, little shout outs to people who've been following me around here. First off, again, Michelle, yay, hi, how are you doing? She's my #1 fan, which means I have to be careful with her around sledgehammers and stuff. but she just kind of commented on the last episode, gave me, nothing too deep, just a cute little comment here. I did find out that someone was amused by, she is wondering why I'm not watching Orphan Black, and I don't know. I don't know why I'm not watching Orphan Black. We even started recording it and I erased it. Archie missed the first episode, so he wasn't watching it. I caught the first episode, but I didn't feel like going back to it without someone else to watch it. I didn't want to just watch it by myself. So I must say I actually was entertained by what I saw in the first episode. But that's all I can say there. I just haven't really caught anything else of the show, so sorry. But it does look good. And then also I did get a comment on the website, which I'm having the most difficulty accessing. There we go. Someone named Chuck. Hi, Chuck. Hi. And he enjoyed my goiter talk. He apparently misses seeing me on YouTube, but is enjoying and he's looking forward to the diet diary, which, like I said, I am thinking about starting. I'll probably, I need to get that, because I'm using my phone more for the diet diary, because I need to be able to, film things without having to, move a computer all around. So I need to get the video off my phone before I can put that up. I'll try to aim for maybe Wednesday or Thursday for that. So thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Michelle. Before I go on to one last little story here, I do want to state that my intention is to present a bonus episode on Friday. It'll be available only on the audio podcast. And when those of you who listen to it will know why once you hear it. But there will be a bonus episode available on Friday. It should be hopefully around half an hour. And I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to just keep it intentionally vague like that. Hope that you're intrigued enough to find out what the surprise is. Another announcement regarding this show, or this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, is that this is the last of the bi-weekly YouTube podcasts. I'm going to be going to doing just... I'm not going to completely get rid of the YouTube podcasts, but they're going to be available only the first weekend of the month, or the first Tuesday of the month. As a quick little explanation, I have always envisioned this as being mainly an audio podcast, but I have kept up the video one because people have been enjoying it. Even though this podcast starts out as a video podcast, the conversion process and the whole process of making it available as a video podcast is so time consuming and tedious. It's amazing. Okay, maybe if I had better or different equipment, it wouldn't be so difficult. But as an audio podcast, once I get this thing in the can, I can listen to it, I can process it, I can get it available to you, I can just make sure that I have a good product available to you. As a video podcast, a lot of times I am just running by the skin of my teeth. And I will be... Okay, I'm back. Sorry, had to chase off a cat again. So, I completely have forgotten what I was talking about. See how that works? I believe I was talking about... only beginning of the month video podcasts. So hopefully a lot of you guys will migrate over to listening to the audio podcast during the off weeks, and then look forward to the video podcast at just the beginning of the month. That said, if you're just dying to see me, the diet podcast, FatBoy's podcast, that will most likely be probably just YouTube. But be forewarned, you're going to see a fat middle-aged man in various stages of undress as he's displaying why he suddenly has decided, oh yeah, I'm out of shape. So goodies will be blocked, but you may get to see a butt or two. I don't know how many butts I have. I am also thinking about trying to start up a small mathematics podcast. I know I mentioned that early on in this whole podcasting thing, and I'm really thinking about it right now because that's odd. Because, well, there just isn't a good entertaining math podcast out there. And I think it is possible to do that in spite of the fact that most people have this fear of mathematics, which is truly a shame. I even have an idea of how to start it out, and I just need to find some puppets. Yeah. But, so that, and that's part of the thing though, is figuring out whether or not that will be video or audio, or if I can figure out a way to do both. So, look hopefully with anticipation for that in the future, because I really do want to do that. It's just I need to figure out the best mode for that one. Now, I do need to do a quick, I know I've only been back for less than 3 minutes already, but I need to quickly shut down so I can get inside so I can finish up this podcast, because it's time for you to meet Lurky. Okay, I told you before that you guys were going to get an update on the cat stuff, so I need to go get Lurky so you can see Lurky and be introduced to the boy. So just one moment here while I get everything torn down and moved inside. Okay, now I probably should be quieter right now, but I'm trusting that everyone's asleep and they won't hear me. But I told you I'd give you guys more of the story on the cat with the drama. And you might have, let me make sure my microphone's still good. He didn't turn off my microphone. This is the Lurky boy. I want to give you a little bit of backstory on him. I was raised with cats. But when the last family cat, house cat, died, I kind of decided not to live with cats for a little while. It was kind of nice not having to trip over anything, even though I love cats. Then one day, this cute little kitten outside appeared, and it followed me around, even though he always hid first. And then that's how come he became Lurky, because he'd hide and then peek at me and then run in and out of my legs. I literally was tripping over him. This is that boy. He's looking very confused right now. He's also probably concerned because normally when we're in a situation like this, I'm trying to give him meds. Well, I was trying to decide whether or not to have another house cat, and I actually had started leaning towards no, even though he was just a little kitten, when he got injured. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but he's got a funny little face. Well, that's an odd little face right there. And that's because his injury was the skin from his lower jaw was ripped free from his jaw. Had to take him to the vet. Thousands of dollars later, he was a house cat. And he cried for his little sister, and we brought her in too. That's Screech, who's wisely hiding right now. This boy has had a rough life. He's prone to getting like urinary blockage, so we have to give him special diet. And he's become the most expensive cat I've ever seen. He had a urinary infection. We had to take him to the vet. The vet did some tests and came home, gave him his antibiotics and everything, and he was doing fine with those. And he's actually essentially perfectly fine, acting like his normal self again, even though he still has like a day of antibiotics left. But the doctor decided to do some blood work. I'm covered in cat hair. That's what I'm trying to get off my face right now, because he's power shedding. Well, when he did the blood work, they found out, and we found out this last Saturday, that Lorky apparently has toxomyosis, toxomyalus, hold on, I have it right here. It's toxoplasmosis, okay, which is infectious. It's serious, but we have a medication that he's going to be taking for that. He has to finish his antibiotics before he goes on to that. But he also tested positive for FIP. FIP is a usually fatal cat disease that he fortunately at this moment does not really have any of the symptoms of that. But it's still a bummer because it's still usually fatal and it is contagious. Which means that the other 9 little horrors that live here, I don't know what their situation is with either the toxoplasmosis or the FIP. I'll let you down now, Lorky, okay? Hey, Screech, come here. This is Screech, his sister. She happened to wander by, so oh, she's gonna be squiggly little wormy girl too. Look, a camera. Okay, go ahead, run away. So that's actually been a bit of a bummer. Okay, still don't know what we're doing regarding his situation. We do have medications for him, one of which he may be taking for the rest of his life, which, as if you look it up on the interwebs, seems like it might be short. Archie did talk to some people and he got some interesting news, and I talked to a veterinary friend and she's actually wanting to see the blood work results because she thinks that possibly not that he hasn't, but basically her big response was that a positive FIP test doesn't mean that he has it, it means that he's been exposed to it. And that's a world of difference. So, still trying to be hopeful. Don't know what to do about the rest of the kids because it's not a cheap test, and it's not a it's just not a cheap test, especially when you multiply it by 9. So if you guys hear me come up with some sort of like Kickstarter, or I don't know, I have no idea what it wouldn't be a Kickstarter. I don't know what it would be, but it would probably be to pay for these kids' medical bills so that they could get tested, and hopefully we find out that they're all negative and none of them are going to die. That's how come I didn't want to start out this podcast with this, because this is a big bummer. I admittedly was freaking out for like the first 24 hours at least until I was able to talk to Rebecca. And I'm still not in a wonderful place regarding the whole situation, but I am feeling better after talking to her. anyone who has any sort of suggestions about or ideas, I'll tell you right now, I would love to hear ideas. My nose looks humongous. Sorry. I am open to ideas and good news and all this, and that's the big deal, is the good news. It doesn't take more than like a 30-second search on the internet to find all the bad news in the world, and I have that going through my head. I don't need someone to tell me how serious this is, or it could be, or how fatal, or anything like that. I already, like I said, a 30-second search on the internet tells you all that. It's lovely with the bad news on this. But it's, as I'm finding out from some vet people, that it's not necessarily complete. And if anybody does know anything good, I would welcome it. I would be very happy to hear good news about this. Not, and I don't mean that I'm like going, oh yay, there's a plus side to this. It's like not necessarily, but that no, you give them like fish and they live forever or something. I don't know. I don't know what the good news would be. Something that would make their lives better, something that would make their lives longer lasting, something that would make it to where we can't isolate them, so something that would make it so that the others can't catch anything from him, or maybe news that no, they wouldn't catch anything from him anyway. I'm still covered in hair. Just good news is something that would be really nice to hear. Don't mean to end it on that sort of a downer note, but that's kind of where it's at. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up, because like I said, I told you guys kind of about it last week on the audio podcast, and I mentioned it earlier. Wanted to introduce you to Lurky, because at least this way, if it is the worst, we at least have a video of him that'll be on the internet. And as anybody who's had naked pictures posted on the internet and realizes that they can never run for public office, as those people know, and myself, hey, the internet is forever. So I normally do shout outs to people at this moment. I'll save that for a later, for this upcoming weekend. You all know who you are, and like if you look at previous weeks, you'll see who my normal hey, look at them are. But I just kind of put this on a downer note at this moment, and I think it's just best to kind of finish it off here. I'll catch you all this upcoming Tuesday. Don't forget about the bonus episode coming out Friday on the audio podcast, and I'll give you guys more information about the diet podcast, and potentially the math podcast too. So have a good week, and thank you very much for listening. Your comments are always appreciated. Thank you. And with that last little bit, I decided, hey, let's bring the mood up a little bit more. And that was One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. And that was by, oh, wow, why can I not think of the name of the group? Oh, I apologize. I will have to, the name of this group will be in the liner notes. Okay, or in the notes for the podcast, because I cannot think of their name right now. I'm coming up with all sorts of wrong names for the group. But I love that song. It always cheers me up. Roby from the TV show Friday the 13th, the series, she also did a version of this song on her album. I have never heard it, and I can't imagine doing it. Okay, or her doing it, or it sounding any good. And I don't have anything against Roby really necessarily, but no, that just sounds so horribly wrong. Look, you can see the ghost of the other stripe, but the reason why the picture suddenly shook there is because Korn, our big boy here, decided to rub up against the screen where the camera is. Quick. Ginny Koch, Bitsy Mamas, Samurai Comics here in Phoenix, Raven Gregory. Look those things up on the interwebs. Go check them out. If you're looking for another entertaining podcast, there is, I've discovered one called Better Off Undead. It is in theory about the Walking Dead TV show, but in actuality it's just three guys kind of having fun. The best episode yet has been when they decided to try to call one of the guys' moms so that they could hear her interesting stories about him, and they never successfully got her on the phone. Okay, and that was pure comedy gold, that whole episode. It was fantastic. Better Off Undead. Give them a listen. Don't forget, 5-star reviews really do help out this show. So on iTunes, if you can give me some 5-star reviews, or, whatever, because that just sounded weird, that sentence. But 5-star reviews are more than helpful on iTunes. Joshua Tree Feeding Program, they help out people with HIV and AIDS to get food. They're a volunteer organization. Go ahead and check them out at www.jtfp.org. And again, thank you all for listening. We've even gotten people now in Belize and New Zealand. Hey. So thank you. This is all like just I just can't say thank you enough here. Catch you again possibly later this week, depending on if you catch the bonus episode or if you catch news of the new diet FatBoy podcast. Or if not, then I will catch you next Tuesday, either on iTunes or at libsyn.com, which is moregeekthan.gay.libsyn.com. And thank you. Catch you later. Bye.